Greetings, Devil Hunters, Fiat here, and in this guide, the first of many to come for Devil May Cry 5, I'm gonna be suggesting the best starting skills to purchase as soon as you begin your adventure. Now, some of these are returning favorites from Devil May Cry 4, and some are brand new abilities that you can acquire. On this vid, we will be focusing on Nero. So, first and foremost, I'll have to explain some things when it comes to the categories of the abilities. Abilities, the very first one in the skill subset, are things related to mobility and quality of life choices. Speed will allow you to run faster, something that will help you to clear stages more quickly and will allow you to make your life less miserable when traversing terrain. Table Hopper, for example, will improve your dodges, but is an advanced technique that would be suggested for players that are of a certain skill level. Thinking that most of you are new to this game, well, I am new to this game as well, but I'm a veteran of the series, I wouldn't recommend you get any of these two at first. For example, we will be going through the skills and I will be explaining which ones are the most important and why. So when it comes to the abilities category, we have speed, we have table hopper, we have wire snatch, that's an upgrade for the devil breaker, we have air hike, enemy step, get more orbs, and X provocation. My two favorites out of this category when it comes to quality of life are get more orbs and air hike. Air hike is very useful in a plethora of situations, actually doubling the height and utility of your jump. So without any question, you're gonna be getting air hike first from the abilities category, not first out of everything per se, unless you got the digital edition like I did and you have like 150,000 orbs after your initial missions. But when it comes to the importance of abilities in the ability subcategory, air hike is the most important thing you should be getting in the beginning. Get more orbs, the other one of my favorites, improves your efficiency in gathering orbs and not missing out on any tremendously. Like with the get more orbs, you just absorb the orbs from a huge distance and you do not have to walk over them all the time just to collect them, but again, it's not as important as acquiring a few more skills for your character. Air hike is the way to go from here, and before we purchase anything, we will be trying out some of the actual combos you can utilize. So for the blue rose, the next category, you're just building up more damage with your charge shots, and while this is nice, since it will give you another option when dealing damage, is not as important either. The Blue Rose is a supplementary weapon and we should be focusing on the Red Queen first to make her as useful as possible so we will be able to deal with enemies and bosses. Next comes the Red Queen, and this is the meat on the bones of Nero's gameplay. We need a few moves to improve our chances of building good combos and extracting more red orbs in the process. Devil May Cry is a game about style, first and foremost, so you do not want to have just two things in your arsenal and ending up stuck on combos of A's or B's. You want those S's, your double S's and triple S's to build up orbs quickly and be able to purchase even more abilities. So here we have the Red Queen combos, and I'm gonna go over the most important of these. Streak is an amazing ability that will pull you towards the enemy, ending up in a slash that covers about 180 degrees in front of Nero and to his sides, so you can just clear smaller enemies, knocking them to the ground, or you can just cover the distance and dish damage. Very important. Split is also very important to finish off airborne combos or just deal with enemies that are below you, and it really ties up excellently with roulette spin that allows you to execute a very improved airborne combo that you can finish with the split. So we start with the streak. We're going to learn the streak. Very important. Then we have an upgrade for the streak that greatly extends the area it can cover, but we do not need that. We want variety to improve our combos. So we purchase split, very, very important. Then we want some red queen combos. The B combo was one of my favorites in Devil May Cry 4, very savage, very powerful, but we will first go for red queen combo C that covers a greater area around the character, serving as a defensive kind of shield, because if enemies are not allowed to approach you, at least the smaller ones, they cannot damage you. So we go with red queen combo C. We purchase that. Don't pay any attention to D at the moment. It's good for damage dealing at the end of its streak, but we should be focusing on other things first. Roulette spin, as I said, amazing for air encounters. We get this as well. Shuffle is an interesting thing. I ended up using it a lot when I became more advanced in Devil May Cry 4, but I do not recommend it for the start of the game, so we'll pass. Payline is interesting, but not for the beginner. Hard way as well. And Caliber is interesting for mid-air encounters, but it isn't as useful as other options that we have. So we'll pass that as well. We will go to Exceed. And what you might wanna do is get another gauge of Exceed for the Red Queen that will allow you to preemptively charge the blade and get into encounters with increased attack power. You can hammer at an enemy at the beginning of your engagement and at least be able to take out one small opponent before you get swarmed by the rest by having more DPS available to you. So by having another bar on Exceed, you will be able to dish out more damage faster at the beginning of your engagement. It's a good choice if you can spare the orbs, if you have the Deluxe Edition, if you had a save from the demo that gives you 30,000 orbs, go for another bar of Exceed. You can increase it further, but we do not want to overinvest in this yet. Max Act here is a very interesting ability that gives you the ability to split frame, charge the Red Queen to the max if you follow up with an Exceed after an attack. It's an advanced technique that will require you get a real feel for the Exceed mechanic. I am not suggesting it as of yet, but you can come back to this later at any moment. So up to this point we've spent around 17,000 orbs, and since it's the beginning of the game you probably won't have that much anyway if you didn't get the Deluxe Edition. But let's say that you do. What can you do if you have the Deluxe Edition and you want to dish out the optimal amount of damage and have as much quality of life improvement in your gameplay as possible? We go back to abilities, and we will get speed, so we can run faster and make trekking easier. We will get Table Hopper to learn how to actually dodge better throughout the adventure. There is another Table Hopper that allows you to reposition yourself right after the initial dodge. Very interesting if you can get the mechanics down, but not the first thing I'd purchase. Of course, as I said, we're gonna go for air hike. We want air hike in our lives as soon as possible. Enemy step, not yet. I'm gonna get more orbs, so I am sure I'm not missing out on any orbs from the get-go of the game. And I'm still sitting on 55,000 here. So we're gonna go back to the Red Queen, get streak 2. So we maxed out the streak. I'm gonna get Nero's combos because they're relatively cheap and I can get them early on. What we want here is to make sure we prioritize what is important, as I said. So these are a bit expensive. I'm not gonna invest in those as of yet. I'm gonna go to the blue rose and learn an ability here to up its damage. There is another upgrade for this that allows you to fire 3 charged shots in succession. Very expensive for the beginning of the game. We're not even touching that. For the breakers, you just get increased magazines. This depends on how heavily you're gonna use them. I'm not expending any orbs on that as of yet. And to summarize, I'm gonna go through what's the most important, and then you can just take a look at my screen and make an assessment of the situation. So first and foremost, we go for Red Queen, and we go for Streak, very important, Split, Red Queen combo C, Roulette Spin. Those are the most important ones for the beginning. Then after we have orbs to spend, we want to get Air Hike, and we want to get speed as well soon. Those are cheap anyway, so you don't have to worry about overcommitting. Then we want to invest a bit on Exceed to have another bar ready when we enter our engagements, and then give the blue rose some love to increase its overall potential when charging it up. Those are my suggestions for beginning the game. Some of you might agree, some of you might disagree. I'm learning things about the game as I go on myself. I just got it, it's the first day. The game looks amazing, very promising mechanics wise. I will be covering Nero, Dante and V as I move forward, and down the line you can expect some neat gameplay, high level gameplay, boss guides and so on and so forth. So sub, like and share if you found this useful. I will be covering everything I can get my hands on DMC4. Until next time, be well, stay frosty, and always strive for perfection, hunters. Cheers.